Lily Phillips, the woman that is most known for having relations with 100 men, in fact, 101 men in one night. She spoke on that particular event, and then she revealed some things that a lot of people already knew. But I didn't think that it was this deep. I'll be honest, I did not think it was this deep. I want to show you all this, and then we're going to talk about it. Let's go ahead and hop into this video, watch it, and react to it. Before we do me a quick favor. Hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm so that this video can reach more people like yourself. I truly appreciate you guys, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and tap that subscribe button, and let's hop into this video right now.
You've said you had a picture-perfect childhood, you've got amazing parents, you've had a very happy upbringing.
Yeah. So my parents are both together. I have one older brother, and we just had the perfect upbringing in like a little village. No kind of past trauma or anything like that. My parents raised us perfectly. Yeah, just honestly, it was perfect.
You say your parents are really supportive of what you do, and people just don't believe you when you say that.
Yeah, so it's tricky really, because they were super supportive when I went into OnlyFans. They understand that it makes me really happy. You know, I'm not hurting anyone, I'm safe. So they thought, kind of, why not? It was only till I took things to the next level and started doing more and these kind of events that's when they don't quite support me doing these events, but they support me and they'll always love me and have my back. That's kind of how I describe it.
And when you say they don't support you doing these events,
I refuse to believe that that parents are being loving by allowing you to do something that is degrading. Even if you are not a Christian or have a belief in a God, I still think that that's wrong. And I have a hard time understanding how you grew up in a perfect household, but your parents could allow you to do this even as an adult and be supportive of it. I just refuse to believe that that's normal and that is the thing that society should be allowing. I just refuse to believe that. I absolutely do. Let's continue on.
events, what events are you talking about?
So I do big sex events where the members of public can come to and join in. So I have sex with quite a lot of gentlemen or women. And yeah, these events for obviously for all ages above 18 for anyone to kind of show up.
And can you explain why they don't support that?
I think they just don't find it necessary. It's not something they would have chosen for me to do. I don't think any parent wakes up and goes, oh, you know, I want my kid to be a when they're older. But they understand that it makes me happy. So they, you know, and also they understand that I am an adult and a woman and I can choose to do what I want.
Your generation, Gen Z, has grown up with porn being easily available on smartphones. How do you think that has influenced you?
Honestly, I probably watched first when I was maybe 11. And so I've always known about it. I've always knew it was a thing. And I always thought it was very normal to watch. And I personally don't think pornography is a bad thing in moderation. I just think it's when younger adults have a lot of access to it, that's when it does become a problem.
But if you start...
I don't think that fentanyl is a bad thing. And I think just a little bit of fentanyl is okay, but it becomes a problem when you consume a lot of fentanyl. Do you hear how crazy that sounds? Something that is inherently bad. It's not bad by just having a little bit, just when you do a large consumption of it. No, this is not how it works. That corn is bad for you, period. And whether you're taking in a little, consuming a little bit of it or a lot, it's horrible. And it's even worse when you are watching it as an 11-year-old. Now, I've had a similar lifestyle to what she's saying, believe it or not, in my younger years. I seen that stuff at age 10. And I can tell you that to this day, it has affected me in ways in which I would have never imagined as a young kid, would have never imagined. And so, no, it's not normal. It's not okay. It's not a good thing. What it is trauma. What it is a bad experience for a kid to even endure. And you need therapy and God in order to heal this. But she doesn't think so. Let's continue on.
I started watching it at 11.
Yeah.
I mean, that is so young.
Yeah.
Can you describe how it has influenced you and your brain and your outlook on sex?
You know what? It actually made me really sex confident and learn a lot of things. I mean, that's mostly how I learned through porn. And I do think it has a positive effect on me, just in terms of like understanding things a little bit more.
Right. But as we know, what we see in pornography online can be extreme. Is not normal.
It depends what type of pornography you're watching. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Whenever you have time, look up the name Layla Micklethwait on YouTube. She has done a ton of interviews and podcasts destroying, corn and the biggest channel or the biggest website in that industry, and just how evil and how demonic it is. And I really think it's worth a watch. And it could possibly help you to never click on these sites again when you realize just how crazy it is. Okay. But that's something that you should definitely check out, especially if you have a problem with watching it right now. Okay. Let's continue on.
You had access to this, looking at it from the age of 11, and not just you, any Gen Z who's got a smartphone.
Yeah.
Does that suggest to you that maybe your generation has been let down by politicians or the tech companies or even parents?
I think it's hard because sex is a part of life, and I don't.
But not when you're 11.
But I think you should be learning from it from that age. I do believe that, because that's when you start to think about things like that.
But learning,
Maybe not. Maybe not learning from, but I do think understanding it more from that age would be helpful.
Is there a direct link between you watching as you grew up and the decisions you've made to do what you do now?
I think maybe. I mean, I don't know a life without, so maybe.
Billie Eilish is the same age as you. She says she started watching porn at 11. You've just told us the same age. She says it destroyed her brain. Could it have destroyed yours?
I think it really depends on how frequent you're watching it. I see people nowadays who watch too much too soon and they become very desensitized to it, and that means then they have to watch more and more extreme stuff. I personally wasn't like that. I didn't watch it often enough at all. So I don't think it's destroyed me personally, but I do believe it's destroyed people my age, 100%.
Can I ask, do you see yourself as a feminist?
I do, yes, yeah.
In what way?
Well, obviously, a feminist means you want equality between men and women. And that is honestly what I'm striving for. I mean, it shows me just being in this industry how we don't have that yet. And that is something I'd love to get to.
A lot of feminists, not all, but some are anti-pornography. They argue that pornography is the antithesis of feminism. Let me give you a couple of quotes. Pornography is part of the marketing of prostitution. Jermaine Greer said that. Gloria Steinem said pornography has nothing to do with sex, with love, with erotica. It is violence. Are they wrong? And if so, why?
I think what people don't realise is there's so much different kinds of porn. There is the one I make where it's with average guys. It's very normal sex, you know. I set my phone up in the corner of the room and proceed to have sex with a guy, and it's as if the camera isn't there. And I would like to say that that is relatable, and, you know, that's not something that would damage your brain, because that is the kind of sex that two people would have. Whereas obviously there's the more like rough kind. It really depends. And I think feminists, when they're talking about porn, they tend to just talk about this really degrading type of.
You are famous for.
So if you are a believer of the faith in Christ, then I need you guys to understand that anytime you have sexual relations, and like what she's talking about with someone, you are making a spiritual covenant with that person, because the Bible says that the two shall become one flesh. And that's why sexual immorality is such a big thing. And that's why Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed, due to their indulgence in sexual immorality. I mean, it must have been rampant. It must have been extremely unbearable in the sight of God. And so, you know, someone like her who's doing this with 100 guys in one night, you're making 100 covenants with 100 guys in one night, according to God. And one example is that when Jesus spoke to the woman by the well, he told her, you have had 5 husbands, and the one that you're with is not your husband. She has had 5 different relationships, and maybe she was married to these people and divorced and married again, divorced, or maybe she just was sleeping with them, living with them, having a relationship but not being married, and then having 5 of these, and then the one she's with doing it again. And so, spiritually, it puts a toll on you spiritually. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a real spiritual danger for sexual immorality, and she doesn't believe in it. But just because she doesn't believe in that does not mean that it's not true. It absolutely is true. Let's continue on.
Having sex with 101 men in a day. It was documented in a YouTube film, which has had 10 million views. And we, for those who haven't seen it, we literally see a queue of men, complete strangers, waiting to go into a bedroom to have sex with you for an allotted 5 minutes. We don't see their faces because they don't want to be on camera. And when we hear the voice of one or two, their voices have been disguised because they don't want to be identified.
Yeah.
You've been asked many times why you did it. You say it's because you enjoy it, and you've explained today that why you do what you do. What do you think of those men who turned up that day?
I think of them as equal guys like me who are also enjoy sex and honestly just wanted to have a good time.
They're obviously sons, brothers, boyfriends. Like, is it okay for them to turn up that day?
I would say as long as they're not cheating on their partner, then yeah.
And what do you think of those guys? What were they like?
A lot of them were lovely, honestly. Just very, very regular guys. We had lawyers, we had policemen, we had, people flying from Sweden, Eurostar from France, a couple from America. Like, they were just bang average guys.
And if your older brother...
Let's not beat around the bush here, okay? If you do something like that, you are not a regular guy. By any standards of any men in the world, any men that have a conscience, and that is not driven by their sexual desires to go and do something like that, we will say that's not regular. That is absolutely disgusting. And I think that it's honestly, it makes you lower than a regular man. It honestly puts you in a lower category because it's like, dude, you could go out here and get any other woman that you want. Why would you choose to do that out of all things? Why? And, there is no honor in what was done that day. There was absolutely no honor in that. By either parties. There's no honor in the men doing it. There's no honor in her allowing this to be done to her body. Just ridiculous. Just pure demonic, destructive ridiculousness that is happening in the world. And she's not the only one. There's other content creators doing this. There's other people trying to mimic this. That's why I said it's going to be a cancer spreading. People are trying to get famous off of it. It is dangerous. Really is dangerous.
Or your dad turned up to be one of those 101 men to have sex with someone like you, what would you think of them?
If they're single, it's their own free will to have sex with who they like, and all power to them.
And why do you think they all wanted to be anonymous?
I believe it's because a lot of them had jobs and family that they wouldn't want to find out that they do this, and I think that's totally fair.
Do you respect those men?
All right, I'm sorry that I keep interrupting, but I just have stuff to say. If it was normal, if it was 100% normal, why would they be anonymous? They wouldn't. You would be fine with it because it's normal. But obviously society deems this as abnormal and disgusting. So you have, just like the KKK, you have to hide your face, because if we found out who actually was doing this, people will be like, bro, you are disgusting. You are nasty. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you participate in something so disgusting for and vile? Like, it's horrible. And so, of course, you got to hide your face so that people can't see that it's you doing this disgusting act. And so, yeah, they're going to hide their faces to avoid people judging them for doing something that is just pure nasty. Yes.
I do. I see them as regular men wanting to have a good time. I don't think too much deeply into who they are.
Do you think they respected you?
I think a lot of them did. Not necessarily all of them, but yeah.
And how did you know that the ones who didn't necessarily respect you didn't?
I think some of them disrespected my choice to have a time limit on our sex. And that was when I thought, you're not respecting this, that this is, for me, these are the rules. We have sex for this amount of time, we film it, and those are the kind of rules. And that's when I thought, maybe a couple of them are disrespecting me.
Most of the reaction to what you did that day has been revulsion and also a lot of sympathy towards you. Let me read you some of the comments underneath the YouTube film. This is the best anti-porn film I've ever seen. This is self-harm, and I've never felt more protective over a stranger in my life. What did you make of the reaction to it?
Obviously, I really appreciate everyone's sympathy. I just wish we could have put that energy into someone who needed it. You know, I really don't need the sympathy or the heartache or people being worried about me just because this is something I chose to do and this is my job, and it really is my choice, and I'm not being abused or made to do this or forced into it or anything like that.
A clip from that film.
Everyone does things that are appalling for something that you can gain, something that physically that you can gain. You don't do it just to do it. And so a lot of times in the Christian world, we say that, you know, you don't realize how much of a slave you are to sin until you try to stop sinning. And you realize that it's extremely hard because you have been a slave to sin. And it's possible through Christ, all things are possible, but yet we still fall into sin because it's just really hard for humans to not sin. And so in that same manner, I would tell her, you know, you think you're not a slave to it, but like you actually are a slave to this demon that is driving you to have this desire to do these appalling acts, sexual acts, which I do believe that there's a demon involved. And I'll talk about that a little more at the end of the video, but let's continue on.
Of you crying after finishing having sex with all those men has been viewed millions of times on different platforms.
Great.
Why'd you say great?
Just because I'm an ugly crier.
Oh,
Of course that part goes viral.
I've got the clip here. I'm going to ask you to watch it and then I'll ask you about it.
It's kind of like being in a sense of like, it's just a different
Feeling. I don't know how to explain it, like...
It's not like just having sex with someone.
Yeah. Just one in, one out. Like it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
Sorry. Okay. Okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute.
How does it make you feel watching it back?
You know, I just hate the sound of my own voice.
But it's really upsetting. You were really upset.
Yeah, it was an interesting day. It wasn't exactly what I planned or thought it to be, and I think I really prepared for it. And I just think there's stuff I would have done so much differently next time. It took so much longer than I thought. I was having sex for 14 hours straight. It was just exhausting and not what I thought it was going to be in my head.
What did you think it was going to be like in your head then?
You know what? I'd done 37 guys like a month before or a couple of weeks before, and that was just bliss. Like I just had so much fun. But the difference is they all went together. We had a group of 23 guys and I did them all together, and that was just like, the energy was so much better. The guys were really respectful of each other. Like the energy was just so much different. I think it was just the guys and how they spoke to me and things like that. I just thought it was going to be a lot easier.
I'm just going to pause for a moment because you just say this so normally. Like, this is your world, but you just said, you know, a month earlier I did 37 guys and we had so much fun and it was bliss. Like, wow, God, like, is that normal?
It's weird because...
It's not normal.
No, it really is normal in my world.
Hand on heart, look me in the eye. Can you tell me that that day, and what happened that day and what you did that day and what those men did that day was genuinely empowering for you?
I think that day was slightly different. My other events, I felt extremely empowered in. My needs were so fulfilled. That day, not so much.
Once you make the decision to make money from doing what you do, don't you inevitably end up having to do more and more extreme stuff in order to drive those subscribers to your OnlyFans, in order to keep making the six-figure sum every month?
I think everyone in their line of work feels like that, like they have to keep doing more, especially people on social media, YouTubers, they feel like they have to keep pushing out more, bigger videos, better videos. And I just think that is the reality of this kind of world. It's consumption, you know?
You get
I don't necessarily agree that you have to have bigger and better videos. I think that you just have to continuously provide content that your followers or your subscribers will want to see. It doesn't necessarily have to be better than the last video. It just needs to be some kind of content that either provides education for them or is more entertaining or whatever the case may be. But you don't have to continuously go up and up. But with her, I feel like in her job you do, because eventually people are going to get sick and tired of seeing just you doing the same stuff, and they want to see you do things that are crazier. They want to see you do things that's going to feel their desire to this sexual desire within them. And so they may stop watching you when the next girl pop up and she's doing something crazier, then they're going to go watch her. So for her field, it definitely matters, and she's going to have to keep going up and up and up. But in general, in our field, YouTubers and content creators, and even in people that work like I work a 9 to 5, but people that work just strictly 9 to 5s, you don't have to have the biggest and baddest video every time. You just got to provide the same stuff that you've been providing in the past that is going to help people. That's it. Okay, so I want to show you guys this Bible verse real quick, because I want to just dive in on just how important it is to avoid sexual sin. Okay, all sin is bad, but sexual sin appears to be worse. And this is Paul speaking. He says, run from sexual sin. No other sin so clearly affects the body as this one does. For sexual immorality is a sin against your own body. Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God? He's speaking to people that believe in God. You do not belong to yourself, for God bought you with a high price, so you must honor God with your body. So he's telling these people to run from sexual sin, because unlike any other sin, you are sinning against your own body. And so sinning against your own body is that, like, so let's say like I lied to someone, right? I'm not lying to myself, but I'm lying to another person, which is going to hurt them. But sexual sin, you're committing this act against yourself. It's hurting you. It's hurting you. And not only is it hurting you, it is, depending on what sexual sin it is, if it's actually having sexual relation, doing the full thing, then you are creating a covenant with that person, a holy covenant, not a holy covenant. You're creating a spiritual covenant with that person. And God sees that as a marriage. God sees that as you're taking that you two are now one flesh. And so that's why it's important to stay away from sexual sin, specifically going the full way. But all sexual sin should be avoided, as Paul's saying, because it is sinning against your own body. Now, I personally do believe that, Lily could be suffering from demons. And just because you suffer from demons or demonic oppression, demonic torment, whatever the case may be, it does not mean that you're fully possessed. It doesn't mean that you're walking around foaming at the mouth, walking backwards, screaming out. It doesn't mean any of that. Those times are real and they're recorded in the Bible, but that's not necessarily every single time someone is possessed, oppressed, or tormented by a demon. I do believe that she does have some demonic things going on, especially because of what she's been doing. And I think she's blinded by that. And I think that she's blinded by the fact that this is just something that is bad, something that is disgusting and dirty, and that is frowned upon for a reason. But I do believe that, just like the Bible says, all things are possible through Christ. I believe that one day, if she accepted the salvation that comes from Christ and she repents and turn from her sin and follow him, I do believe that she can be restored both physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I do believe that she could, continue out a life that is pleasing to God. But right now, this is just really bad. I mean, you don't have to believe in God to understand just how bad this is. But yeah, only thing I can tell you guys is to pray for her. Pray that she may see this video. I don't mean to bash her or anything like that. Hopefully I didn't say anything that sounds bashing. I'm just speaking the truth about the situation. That's it. So hopefully she sees this video. She can contact me. We can pray. And I would, yeah, that's my hope, is that she would trust in God. She would find Jesus, because Jesus isn't far away from us. We're far away from him at times. She would look and find Jesus, turn from her sin, follow him, and live a life that would be pleasing to God. That would be the best thing for her spirit, is to follow Christ, because this life will end. She will get older. Her body won't look the same in 10, 15 years from now. And when that happens, what are you going to do now? So right now, if you hear the words of the Lord today, do not harden your hearts. Follow Christ, make him known, and know him. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section. All right. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and hit the post notification bell so you do not miss another video. My name's Aaron Page. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Until next time, I'm out.